Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about two types of questions, direct and indirect. Do you remember some of the questions you heard in the last video? When Sammy arrived at the company, he said, "Can you tell me if this is the Human Resources Department?" Let's listen again.
Could you please tell me if this is the Human Resources Department? I have an appointment here.
This is an indirect question. A direct question would be, is this the Human Resources Department? The difference between the two questions is that the indirect question, can you tell me if this is the Human Resources Department, is more polite than the direct question, is this the Human Resources Department? We could also say that indirect questions are more formal than direct questions, and they are often more friendly. However, sometimes it's necessary to ask direct questions, especially if you're asking for information, such as when Mr. Aziz asked Sammy, "Where are you from?" and "Is this your first time in Amman?" Also, in some cultures and in some situations, direct questions are better as they are short and clear. And if English is not your first language, short direct questions are often easier to ask than longer indirect ones. But easy does not always mean better. So it's useful to know, firstly, how to ask indirect questions, and secondly, when indirect questions are a better alternative than direct ones. Let's look at another example from the video.
Sarah, this is Sammy. He's starting today. Do you know where his workstation is?
Mr. Aziz said, "Do you know where his workstation is?" Is that a direct or an indirect question? It's an indirect question. The direct question would be, where is his workstation? Which might not sound very polite. Let's look at one more example. When Sammy asked about the toilets, did he use a direct question or an indirect one?
Would you mind telling me where the toilets are?
He used an indirect question. What would the direct question be? A direct question would be, where are the toilets? One final thing to say about this is that the way you ask the question is important. For example, if you smile and say it in a positive way, "Excuse me, where are the toilets?" Or, "Excuse me, is this the Human Resources Department?" Then a direct question can also be polite and friendly. The main thing to know is if you are being polite or not when you are talking with other people. So, to summarise, indirect questions are generally more polite, more formal, and more friendly. Direct questions are generally less polite, less formal, and less friendly. Unless, of course, you smile.